It's Joanne Christaldi, and my title is Assistant Professor of Nutrition and Dietetics. Okay, I have a needs assessment grant from the USDA. It's $100,000, and the purpose of it is to figure out the extent of the problem. At this point, it's not to do anything to fix the problem, it's just to figure out how bad is the problem. What do individuals within the county think, individuals who work with food insecurity, what do they think we can do to fix the problem, and then individuals who themselves would be considered food insecure, or those who are on the SNAP program, which is like food stamps, how do they think the problem can be fixed, and coming up with a plan for then fixing the problem in the county. So I'm not as far along as I would like to be at this point, so I still have to do the focus groups with the residents of the county to figure out what they think could potentially help fix the problem, and then hopefully that will lead into additional grant funding to fix the problem. Let's see, I'm doing 3 different things. The first piece was a survey that went out to 10,000 households in the county. It was random selection, and we're still working on trying to get some of that back. That I was hoping to have been done, but it's not. It's taking a little bit longer than I hoped. Second piece is 2 sets of focus groups, one with food assistance providers and key informants in the community. So those individuals who work directly with helping people who work at food banks and other kinds of nonprofit facilities that deal with this on a daily basis. So I did complete those focus groups. And then focus groups with county residents who struggle with getting food or who are food insecure. I still have to do those. And a grocery store or convenience store analysis where in zip codes within the county that have more food insecurity, do an analysis to see are foods available, affordable, accessible, and if that's contributing to the problem too. It's supposed to be done this month, so at this point I'm a year into it. I'm hoping to have it done over the summer, so about 15 months, maybe a little bit longer. It definitely depends on the scope of the project. So how much you want to accomplish. So some things, are short and you're only collecting data for maybe a month. For something like this, because we have so many pieces tied into it, that's why we were hoping to have it done in a year, but because the survey piece is taking longer than expected, that's delaying some of the other pieces. Not for the survey. So yeah, it was just random households. For the focus groups, for the food assistance people, obviously people who work with that population. And then the only criteria, or essentially there's 2 criteria for the county resident focus groups. One, that they need to be food insecure, and 2, that they're over 18. So just for IRB and consent, that they can consent to take part in the study, they have to be over the age of 18. The grocery store, it's just going to be focused in those locations or zip codes in the county that have more food insecurity. Research in general, I don't know, there aren't too many projects that start and end in the time frame that you usually set it at. Usually there's some bumps in the road that you run into, so it usually takes longer than typically people prepare for it to take longer. 2, it could be that there's not a ton of interest in the area. The other piece I think might be contributing to it is the fact that grants and grant funding has become much less available than it used to be. So there's a lot less dollars to be able to do these kinds of projects. So that limits then what people can do. So if you're not getting the grant funding because they're not giving out as much, it's going to limit what people are able to do. Your trend, which is nationwide, is the economy. And so the economy is much lower than it used to be. That's one of the reasons why we're finding more food insecurity here, but that you could say lots of places in the U.S. have seen a similar trend. So when people are out of work, they're not going to have as much money. So I think that's probably one of the biggest factors. In my talking to some of the people who work and deal with this on a daily basis, it's that the volumes of people who are coming in and they just can't keep up with that, so it's much, much greater, which is directly related to the fact that, you know, people are out of work and not making as much money as they used to. Not sure yet how I do a lot of, I work on outside committees that deal with food insecurity, so I know a lot of the people within the county who are already involved in this. So it was easy for me to recruit people for those focus groups. I work with them, I already know those people. To do the county resident focus groups, I think that's going to be tricky. I'm going to have to rely on those same people to help me recruit people to come to those, because I'm trying to do nine of them, and you want to try and get 7 to 12 people per focus group. So I need somewhere around 100 people to come out. I am offering an incentive for participants to come, but I think my best method is sort of going to be word of mouth and those people helping me to recruit, because I don't know how else to go about doing that. Okay. So those people that are going to the food banks and going to the food pantries, recruiting them from those facilities. I'm hoping that this turns into, well, this piece of it, the needs assessment piece is a one-time thing. So again, it's just really to figure out the extent of the problem, what can we brainstorm to try and fix it. So that's usually just a one-time thing, and then hopefully apply for additional grant funding to then put some of those plans into place within the county. That it wouldn't just be something that would be consistently trying to look for grant funding to fix the problem. Hopefully it won't be stale at that point. So hopefully if we finish in the summer, and then if we're able to secure additional grant funding, which might include a social marketing component. So just getting the word out about the problem. But that's not something that I have a concrete plan in terms of what to do and when to do it. But yeah, so I guess it could go either way. It could be that I apply for grants and I don't get the money, which may mean that it has to be a small scale kinds of efforts that go on from here. But I think including some sort of marketing piece with it, that just awareness, it would be important. I have 2 other faculty members here and 6 graduate assistants on the project. Funding came in March last year and had to go through the IRB for project approval. So I'm trying to think of when the surveys actually went out. Probably in the fall, by the time it all got printed and ready to go. Then we have about 1,600 back, which isn't anywhere near what we were hoping for, but in general, less money you have to buy food, and then people are struggling with what then, if you have a limited income, what to spend that money on. And when people have the choice between food or heating their house, that may not even be a choice for them, or they have to take the bus and that costs money, or those kinds of things. That food is the one of the primary things that you can get assistance for. There are some programs that you can get assistance for, like your heating and electric, but there are at least some of those options out there in terms of food that people can turn to. Putting a Band-Aid on it doesn't fix the problem. And then you can get into if people aren't choosing the best foods, how is that influencing the health status of the country? So I think, does it help? Yeah, because temporarily it's assistance for people when they don't have enough money for food, they can't put enough food on their table, that's there. But that doesn't fix, the problem in general. That doesn't fix the fact that tons of people are out of work.